What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you go to coinmastery.com/invest to get on the newsletter list and to get some free PDFs, get started with crypto, get your strategy dialed, get ready to crush 2018 as we gallop into this revolution. First of all, thank you guys so much. We just crossed 70,000 YouTube subscribers. Seems like only yesterday we were just at 1,000. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. It's been great. And for all the podcast listeners, we're almost at 1 million podcast downloads and 30,000 Twitter followers. So very exciting times, and I'm glad I can be a part of this with you. Today, we are talking about Bitcoin a little bit as it relates to the fallout from yesterday, also known as a year ago in crypto terms. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with a few altcoins as it relates to what I would consider professional shilling. Some people kind of like the extent at where promotion has gone for some of these altcoins, not necessarily in a judgmental way, but in a way that you can probably benefit from or profit from. Because while I do believe I'm 50-50, believe in the tech, believe in the profitable opportunity of crypto, it's pretty evenly split at this point. I know that a lot of people, you're here to make money. So I'm going to just show you some things that I see that I think you could probably capitalize on. And then I want to talk about a little bit about a couple upcoming trends that I see unfolding. Specifically, one that I'm seeing is a pretty clear need, but I think the timing is the wild card, specifically around decentralized exchanges and a few things around that. So really cool, really interesting time to be here. Yesterday, as you guys saw, Bitcoin Cash went live on Coinbase. We were going to do a live stream today, but I got to be on a podcast. So I wanted to make sure that I get all the information out there. And what we're seeing is a kind of gradual slight pullback. Now, if you guys have been in the game or in crypto for, let's say, at least 12 months, I've only been really into crypto for about 12 months now. I've been in the crypto space, investing in crypto for years, but these kind of multi-day, almost multi-week drawdowns are pretty common at some point, typically before big bull runs. Now, it's always a little different when you're in a parabolic state, but let me pull this up. The other thing to remember is that I'm on a log scale. So when you zoom out of a log scale, it looks a lot different in real price terms. But the reason you do log scale is that this makes it balances out the y-axis so that everything is relative. What this doesn't take into account is the relative pain of seeing something going from, let's say, 8,000 to 7,000 versus something going from 19,000 down to 14,000, which is what we saw. So that's the only thing that log scale doesn't necessarily take into account. So, which is also why it can look just like everything else did before. So what happens is that you may see, you may look at the chart, you may see people who are looking at previous areas and saying, look, we had a drawdown here, we had a drawdown here, we had a drawdown here, drawdown here. Guess what the obvious next thing is? And in a parabolic bull market, that's completely right. The only difference, shouldn't say the only, one of the differences, as far as I'm concerned, is the psychology around big numbers is a really important piece. It changes the demand profile. So while I do think that there's a lot of upward power and upward momentum to come, it'll come in different places. It won't necessarily come from the same people that drove it at 2,000 because they feel like they can't afford it. It'll come from when we get the people that, $15,000, $16,000 Bitcoin is not a big deal. So while I am very bullish on this, and I think it's going to go parabolic, you're seeing all this activity flowing into these altcoins. That's why you're seeing everything going 200x, because they're all 0.01 cent coins. When previously it would all go into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then the people that have been in for a while move into altcoins. We're seeing the next phase of this happening. Remember, we talked about this being chapter 2 of the development of this market. Chapter 3 is probably going to unfold in January, February, as you see things like the ETFs and the bigger guns coming in who can throw around big money, and these numbers do not phase them whatsoever. All right, so what does that mean for you? I think that you're going to see this pullback. You're going to see a consolidation, maybe a little bit more. If I was, looking at this, I think that right around here, right on the 14,500 level is a pretty clear consolidation level. I think that that's where I would look first. And then, this kind of green open area is when you're going to get down to a pretty serious retracement. But that's kind of the buy zone. You can see it. I mean, this kind of, luckily this box fills it in, but anywhere below 14,500, down to, let's say, 13,000, 12,500. After that, I'm pulling out all the stops. I would start buying like crazy. At least, for now, the only thing that can change all this is some sort of big exogenous event, right? Like we talked about, huge exchange shutdown, governments come in saying that Bitcoin's illegal or something. But other than that, just like from a natural chart standpoint, that's where I'm looking. And I don't expect the price to do anything crazy until some big money comes in. And they may be coming in at times that we're not expecting. I'm expecting it to happen in January because people are going to come back from holidays. That's when we're going to go big, right? These guys work 8 to 8. That's, that's what they're used to. They take holidays. But I could be completely wrong because this is an international market. I am overall still dollar cost averaging, and I'm still betting that this is going to go up to $30,000, $40,000 over the next couple of months. Very confident in that. Always think Bitcoin's a good move, no matter what. And that's really what I've been doing this entire month, is just dollar cost averaging, building out my positions, things like that. So that's what we're looking at right now. As always, if Bitcoin's boring, the money's got to go somewhere. People are looking to buy stuff every minute of every day. Never forget that. So every day, if this is a boring investment, they're going to go to Bittrex, or they're going to go to Binance, or they're going to go somewhere. People are always going to find a reason to spend money every single day. That's the game. And that leads us into what's going on with altcoins. Now, this is not slowing down, and I guess I'm not that surprised. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it's continued to go this far, right? This dopamine run is going for this long. At the same time, I've learned that nothing really surprises me. The thesis that is completely ridiculous from a rational standpoint that I've had is that just go on Bittrex or Binance and just go to the cheapest coins. And by that, I mean, yesterday I bought like $500 worth of Sia coin just because I wanted to prove it to myself, right? And I didn't publicize it because I don't want people to think that I don't believe in this coin at all. I mean, I don't know it well enough, but I'm not really into the decentralized file storage thing. But it's still, it was at like 140 and I bought it. Now it's at the 170 just because it's a low price. So I'm not recommending that coin at all. I'm just saying this is like a ridiculous thing, but it keeps working, right? You compare this to any other page on Bittrex, which, the only or the main variable is the price of the coins. And it's obvious that the cheapest coins are getting the biggest returns. Maybe there's some sort of manipulation. Maybe there's bots. I don't know. But all I do know is that the price on the cheapest coins is going up. So I don't think this is a strategy. I certainly wouldn't recommend anyone doing this for any sort of long-term money. But, I'm not going to turn my back on an opportunity. So keep that in mind as it goes. I think the other notable thing that happened, Ripple went up. I don't know a tiny bit of Ripple, so I'm not, it's unbelievable. Anyone who did own it. I don't love Ripple as a platform. I'm much more of a Stellar Lumens fan, which is holding its own. I think Stellar's going to have a great year next year. But this the whole market is just, it's just wild to watch. So if nothing else, I'm not saying go buy any cheap coins, but I am saying this is a thesis that you should look at when you're doing your research. And if you're making a decision, I am somebody who is just as rational as anybody else can be. But this, like, even if it's dumb, if it works, it works. So check it out. Now, the same thing is true on Binance. A little different on Binance because there's a different selection of coins. There's a bigger selection of coins. It's also a little bit smaller than Bittrex, so there's a little bit of a different buyer profile. And you can do the same thing where you sort by best price, and you can do it. Now, you can see that these are not quite as pronounced as they are in Bittrex. I think that the biggest reason is because of the volume, the number of people using it. But again, still kind of a wild thing to watch. Let me go back to where we want the volume is probably how we want to sort it. All right, so it's just kind of a, that's really the big thing I've been watching. Do a tiny test. I'm not going to bet big on this at all. I'm betting most of my money is going into Bitcoin. Speaking of which, let's talk about what's going on with these guys, with Roger Ver and John McAfee. I know a lot of you guys want me to just tear down Roger and you want me to hate on Bitcoin Cash, but that doesn't really serve anyone. If you're just dumping a product because you don't like the person, that's your call. Go for it. But if that doesn't help my bottom line of profits, that's just whatever. What I will say though is that this is causing what he's doing should not be underestimated. And I think that I don't agree with necessarily what he's doing or think it's a ethically good thing. However, it's effective. And the way I see this, especially as somebody who's been in the business and marketing game for a long time, when you are in a market where everybody is product focused, right? Or at least historically has been product focused, and you become one of, if not the only real marketer in this space, you have a massive competitive advantage. People are going to hate you for it, but that is how everything works, right? And you look at any industry over the last 10 years where people are making money and a few people bubble to the top and they become the face of that industry. They become the marketer, the guru, whatever you want to call it. And they get skewered by the purists, but they inevitably end up making the most money and having the biggest impact. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's how it goes. That's what Roger's doing, right? And if you don't see that that's what he's doing, that that's the game he's playing, you're going to miss out on the bigger trend that's happening here. And what that trend is that he has the ability to impact a lot of people. And I think that's why I haven't sold my Bitcoin Cash, is because I know how powerful not Roger is, but how powerful being a marketer in a world that hates marketers is. It is a very powerful position to be in this space. And it's the fact that he can go on CNBC and he can continue to promote his narrative and cause massive confusion. It's extraordinarily powerful. And instead of taking a position on it, what you need to do is make a decision to how it affects you. How are you going to mitigate yourself, protect yourself from that volatility, from that risk? My opinion is you should own 5% Bitcoin Cash of your portfolio or more if you like it. For no other reason than this is really happening. And if you want a long-term balanced portfolio, you can't ignore it, even if you hate it. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to continue to watch this. I think that he's getting a little bit, I wouldn't say off the deep end, but some of his tweets about insider trading that's a little too much for me. But at the end of the day, it's markets are markets, and if crypto is built on the idea of no regulation, and this is what happens when you don't have regulation. Like Coinbase does what it does. Guys like Roger can people can do whatever they want when there's no regulation. And you gotta play that game. So it is what it is. And don't necessarily have a strong position on him or what he's saying. What I do have a strong position on is how he can impact a market. That's why I keep my Bitcoin Cash. Second piece of this is John McAfee, who I've never met John McAfee, but people I know who have met him say he is a piece of work. Really just a character, to say the least. Now, yesterday he posted this. Now, if you don't know who John McAfee is, he's built McAfee Security, and he's been in the crypto space for a while, and he's just kind of this very, not evangelical, but he fully believes in crypto, and he's been involved in a lot of projects, a lot of ICOs. He's got big involvement overseas, places like India and China and stuff. And he tweeted yesterday that he's going to start talking about all the altcoins because he wants to clear it out. And he's going to review the white papers, and then he's going to do a review on them in a way that hopefully he can educate the masses. And I think what's really important here is to, other than, with the exception of Roger Ver, I think Roger Ver is trying to make a ton of money. I think guys like John McAfee, or even what with Charlie Lee yesterday with Litecoin or with Vitalik, what a lot of people who are really deep into crypto, I do not believe that they are motivated by making more money. I think that they're motivated by spreading the message and by helping the community and making crypto as big as they can. They just might not understand how it's all perceived, or the external impacts, the ripple effect, right? No pun intended. Right, and I can't really fault anyone for that. It's just, like I said earlier, every single thing about crypto I have underestimated, and I continue to underestimate. And I think that these guys underestimate what a tweet like that can really do. I think that Roger knows exactly what he's doing. He's just like kind of, he's not really as much of a chess player as many people probably think he is. But the reason why this is important is that John McAfee is putting out these what looks like a summary written on his phone, Electronium, right? And you look at what happens on, let's see, ETN. It's not on there. Guess I go to Electronium. Is that even on here? Probably not. It's not really a good one. But anyway, the coin just crushed it. Actually, Luke posted this chart, right? Oh, it's on Cryptopia. You can see the pump that happened. I don't think John McAfee necessarily meant to do that, but he did do that. This is going to obviously slow down if he's really going to do this for 2,000 days in a row, which is 9 years. But for you guys, the same way with Bittrex or with Cryptopia, right? You gotta get past how you feel about it and realize, hey, every time this guy posts a tweet for the next couple of weeks, he's probably going to move the market. I mean, that's just what happens. And so staying aware of this kind of stuff, I don't think it's not a strategy, it's a tactic, right? Long-term wealth is built by strategies, but short-term opportunities are often built by tactics. You are not going to retire off of doing this kind of stuff. But I know that many people out there, look, it's the holidays, maybe you want to make an extra couple $100, a couple $1,000, whatever. These are the kind of things that you can pay attention to that can help you do that kind of thing. Not necessarily agreeing with it, but that is what it is. Now let's talk about some bigger macro stuff that I think is, when we do talk about strategy, when we do talk about seeing the bigger picture, this is how you make the real money. Bittrex just took a big investment, controlling stake in what's something called Seed, which is a company. They do derivatives and spot and derivatives tradings on. They're going to do it on the cryptocurrency market, and I believe they're licensed with the CFTC, meaning they can trade commodities futures, just like the CME and the CBOE and all that sort of thing. Now, here's what this means. Rumor has it, and this is not confirmed, is that Bittrex is going to be able to get fiat deposits back, right? They used to have this with wires. It was super sketchy. They stopped doing it, but they're working to try to get the fiat into the system. That's why they're removing a lot of these coins that don't really follow the regulatory, whatever. This is a big deal because like Seed is coming in and they're trying to do it with 200 types of crypto, right? So 19 different fiat currencies and 200 types of crypto. CME is on Bitcoin. Bloomberg is starting to list Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, or Ripple, I believe. But if Seed can come in and they can allow that kind of futures and derivatives and spot trading on everything in Bittrex, I mean, you want to talk about the herd is coming? That's a big deal. This is still very speculative. We don't know if this is when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what the size is going to be, what the demand is going to be. But if you can do derivatives, if you can put futures or even options bets on altcoins, that would be insane. I mean, crazy insane. The amount of money and the amount of market manipulation that would be possible, that would happen, right? Because that's like real shark blood in the water stuff. So I'm sure they would have to regulate it in some way. When I mean regulated, I mean that Bittrex would have to throttle how much people could do and what coins they could move. They'd have to have a certain market cap, certain volume to be able to do it all. But this is crazy that this is even, a potential thing. So if Bittrex get fiat and they allow fiat not only to the big ones, the Bitcoin and Ethereums, but also fiat into altcoin, that's a huge deal. And then if they allow derivatives trading on everything else, big time. So keep this in mind. This is going to be a big thing next year, is how fiat currency gets to crypto. Right now it has to go through Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin to a certain extent, mostly through Bitcoin. That is one of the biggest use cases of Bitcoin right now, is buying Bitcoin so you can go buy altcoins. Fiat going straight into altcoins is going to be a big opportunity because then people can buy direct into those altcoins. All right. This other big kind of macro trend is I think what's going on with exchanges is a very interesting trend and development. Yesterday, Ether Delta looks like it got hacked, and it got hacked because somebody got into their DNS. If you don't know, it's that domain, it's their domain services, right? Domain name services, whatever you want to call it. And that's what, like it says etherdelta.com points to etherdelta.github.whatever.io. Someone got into like their GoDaddy account and changed where that was pointing to a fake site, and it was malicious and whatever. The reason why this matters is because it's very hard to come back from these kind of hits. You get hacked once, you lose that trust. People are very skeptical to come back once there's substitutes. Now, the thing Ether Delta has is there's not really anywhere else to go. So people probably will come back once they fix this. But it steamrolls the paradigm for other exchanges to pop up. And so when you look at the bigger picture, you look at things like Bitfinex, they're not allowing new users to come in. Tether just released a statement yesterday. It said like, oh, hey, we're getting an audit and we're getting all this done. It wasn't super clear, but they're making moves. But Bitfinex is seriously lawyering up. They've lost a lot of trust, even if they come back and continue their operations. Coinbase is what it is. It's the biggest game in town. They control everything for the most part, but now they have lost a huge amount of trust based on this insider trading allegations and just the fact of crashes and the support and everything else. Ether Delta, the list goes on. Every time an exchange comes up, there's problems because there's so much volume. And so because of that, one trend that I'm seeing is decentralized exchanges. And I did a poll on this. Look at this. 88% of people said that decentralized exchange will be a big deal in 2018. However, I'm not completely sold on it, right? So things like ZRX project, many of you did the ICO. Many of you heard it about that ICO on this channel months ago. So I own some ZRX, and for a long-term play, I'm not looking for like a short-term thing with it. But this was an interesting question. There's a lot of people, because I think that there's a lot of people who are not stoked about what the current situation looks like. However, some of you guys had great comments, a lot of comments about things like liquidity and speed and what it's going to look like, trust and all that. And that is a huge piece of the puzzle. So if you look at something like Radar Relay, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because these guys just got a bunch of funding and it's run on 0x. There's plenty of decentralized exchanges out there, right? There's, AirSwap, there's ZRX. I mean, I was on a live YouTube on Sunday about plenty of new decentralized exchanges coming up. Komodo, Neo's coming out with one. There's a million of them. BitShares. But the real name of the game is liquidity, right? Is there a market that you can go to that is worth coming and buying up on? One, for the price arbitrage, because if there's not enough liquidity, you're going to have, this is either going to be priced below or above the spot price on a high liquidity exchange because there's more trades happening. The second is it's just one of the big parts of crypto right now is playing the market, right? Just riding the speculative bubbles. And if the decentralized exchanges take that away, I think that it's going to lose a lot of appeal, or a good amount of appeal, to the average crypto person. So I'm really fascinated with decentralized exchanges. I like ZRX. A lot of it is because there's a lot of people in San Francisco, a lot of investors who are all putting a lot of money into this. They're all friends with Coinbase. There's a lot of factors where it's like it doesn't necessarily have to be the best. It just has to be that everyone believes in the most. And out here, the ZRX is the one that everyone seems to love. So for that reason, that's why I bought it. But this is going to be really interesting. Keep your eyes open for this over the next year, because as the problems increase on the current exchanges, it will fuel the fire for more decentralized exchanges. I don't know what the timing is going to be. I don't know how quickly it's going to happen, but it will happen at some point. That is one of the biggest pieces of crypto, is decentralization, and exchanges are one of the biggest third-party risks in the ecosystem right now. So we'll see what happens, but it's a good one to keep an eye on. Not necessarily ZRX, just decentralized exchanges. You should make your own decisions. This is the one that I like a lot, but you can go from there. In the meantime, we're going to watch this thing. Still creeping down a little bit. We're going to watch Bitcoin go down 14,500, right around where I'm looking for some buys. Obviously watching the volume, and then go from there. And then in the meantime, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.